Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And I also want to thank Princess and the entire Office of Campus Life and SGA for hosting us. We're really happy to be meeting you at the start of the semester, and we hope that you will come seek out academic support. So without further ado, let me introduce myself. My name is Lisa Estreich, and I'm the writing coordinator for the Instructional Support Services program. And what we offer is writing tutoring as well as workshops. So if you're, please keep us in mind throughout your career here at Lehman. Let me just make sure that my presentation here is in presentation mode. Okay, so does everyone see the slide okay now? Should be front and center. Okay.
Perfect, yes, thank you.
Great. So I'm going to be putting some links as we go into the chat. So please keep those in mind. I'm also going to be sharing this PowerPoint with you afterwards. So first of all, and by the way, can you still see the slideshow, or are you now looking at like a Word document? I just want to make sure.
Word document.
Okay. So first of all, if you're not aware of it, there is a bulletin every semester that shares all our services and important links. And a lot of these workshops that are listed in our bulletin are related to writing. So we encourage you to sign up for our workshops and check them out. All right, so I'm going to just start at the very beginning with first of all, what is APA citation? Why do we use it? I'm going to then go into citation generators and some of the electronic tools that are available, and then an overview of APA citation apart from these electronic tools, because it is very helpful to have a basic knowledge of what is involved in APA citation. So first of all, what is APA citation? Very simply, it is a standardized way of referring to your sources. Does anyone know what APA stands for? Feel free to unmute yourselves. I know some of you know this. Okay.
Just American, I can't remember the rest.
Yeah, great. And Jonathan put the American Psychology Association. That is it. So it stands for the American Psychological Association. And this is a very widely used citation tool, citation format for the social sciences, behavioral sciences, healthcare, also some of the natural sciences, humanities. And it's a very useful citation format in that it includes a bit more information than the most basic citation format, which is MLA. In other words, it includes date information, and there are a few other differences. How long has it been for many of you, and feel free to just volunteer this information or put it into the chat. How long has it been since you last wrote a paper using any citation format? Don't include this past semester, because I know you may have started already. Have some of you been away from the school setting for a little while? That can, and you can feel free to type in the chat, since 2014. Okay, thank you, Latiqua. Yeah, so I know for a number of you who are returning as graduate students, one thing that can be anxiety inducing about your first papers that you write is that you've been away for a while, so you may feel a little bit rusty. Or maybe you haven't written a more elaborate research paper in the past. I know the previous presenters went into some of the, a lot of the elements of writing a research paper, but one thing that people get stressed out about is the citation format, APA citation. And I wanna say, thank you, Abigail, 5 years ago, I wanna say that this is something that you should not feel stressed about, because once you know the resources and tools that are available to you, what it really takes is a kind of mindset. a more detailed mindset to then look things up and use those tools in the proper way. And again, there's a lot of help, including writing tutors who are available to assist you with that. So another sort of just basic question, because whenever there's something that we have to do, it helps to know why do we have to do that, apart from just because we're supposed to. So why is it important to cite when we write? First of all, we should cite to acknowledge the work of others. And I know that Professor Alicia Galvez, in her, I'm sure, galvanizing presentation this morning, talked a bit about the politics of citationality, and the fact that the reason we cite is that when we write, we are part of a community, and hopefully that's a community that that we feel that we're a part of, and it's a way that we can express our acknowledgement and credit the work of others, which we're using to write, to produce our own research. All academic writing, just about all academic writing no, I'll say that all academic writing involves addressing others and involves using the work of others. And using the work of others is absolutely okay, provided that we acknowledge and credit the sources of our ideas and how they help us in developing further those ideas. So acknowledging the work of others, distinguishing our own ideas from others' work, right? So if we don't use citation properly in the body of our paper, it can be blurry where someone else's idea begins and where our own idea starts. So what's the boundary between someone else's ideas and our own idea? And finally, again, this is because when we write, we're part of a community of researchers, or communities, I'll make it plural, of people who are trying to develop and pursue ideas, develop knowledge. It's we want others to be able to follow the path that we took, and in some cases reproduce research. So these are the major reasons that we cite, and of course, any citation format is about being consistent and uniform in the way that we refer to our sources. And you can imagine that uniformity, consistency, these things can help our readers so that they can be less troubled by trying to, go through the clutter, any inconsistencies, instead grasp the ideas more quickly. Having a consistent method of providing headings in APA format allows your reader to scan what you write more and grasp the key ideas more quickly as well. So I'm going to be referring to the actual APA website in the course of the presentation. So this is the apastyle.org site. I'm going to put that link into the chat. And this is a great site which provides a lot of help for you when you're working in APA format. And I included a quote here, which I thought was helpful. When style works best, the ideas flow logically, sources are credited appropriately, papers are organized predictably and consistently, and finally, people are described using language that affirms their worth and dignity. So it's about clarity, precision, as well as inclusion. The APA format is, it changes over time, just the way language changes, and the current APA format in the 7th edition reflects some of the ways that the language is changing to be more inclusive. For example, in pronoun usage, now instead of saying he or she, it's one would say they to refer to, if it's not clear what pronoun to use, to refer to someone. And I'm not going to talk so much more about that, but I will be going into additional examples. I think the first thing that is good to know about APA format, and I hope this is comforting, is that you cannot memorize all these rules. There are a lot, but you can learn how to use the resources that are available. And before I jump into some of those resources, I want to answer a question which you probably have, you're probably asking, which is, well, why do we need to take a workshop on APA? Why do we need to learn APA when there are all these tools available for these citation generators and these automated reference or bibliography tools? And I don't know if anyone has any ideas about this. Anybody? Why do we need to learn APA, and why is it helpful? Okay, so keeping an eye on the clock, we don't have a lot of time for question and answer, so I'm going to answer my own question, which is that the citation generators which are out there are getting better and better, and they really are great tools. I'm going to show you some of them so that you can use them, and I encourage you to use them, but they are not foolproof, so they need to be checked. So what you're looking at right now is Google Scholar, and some of you may be pretty familiar at this point with Google Scholar. I want to illustrate how these tools cannot work as well as we might want to use them. And to do this, I'm just going to jump out of my PowerPoint for just a moment. So please bear with me. So I want everybody to go to Google Scholar. And I'm going to put that link into the chat. So, and you can also just follow along with me. So here's scholargoogle.com is Google Scholar. And it's okay to use Google Scholar, but of course you should also use the Lehman Library databases, which I'm sure you've been learning about from the librarians, and which are a great tool. So if you go to, and I'm going to navigate there myself. So let's try looking up in Google Scholar, corporal punishment. I am sharing my screen right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll go to corporal punishment. And what you can see here is that there is a little quotation mark here below the link. So if I want to see what comes up, and as you might know, I could just, if I wanted, look only at articles that came out or sources that came out more recently, for example, by clicking on since 2021, and then I'll get only the most recent articles. But I'm just going to go back to that comprehensive listing. And just as a reminder, as you learned from Professor Galvez this morning, whatever comes up first in this search is not necessarily the best source for you to use in your research, right? And it doesn't even mean it's, sometimes it just means it's the most cited. So if I click on this quotation mark, right, which is a symbol for quoting or citing, then we get a list of, we have different versions of citation for this particular source in the different major formats. And what you can see here is APA. I mean, I'm going to focus on APA in this workshop, so I'm highlighting APA here. And this is great, right? So I can copy this. I just did Control-C, and I can put it into a Word document. So if I have a Word document, I can just plop it in, and this can be the start of my list of references. because as you know, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, every citation format involves, you have the in-text citations, which are very streamlined, and then you have this list of sources or your bibliography at the end, which is the complete reference to your sources, and it's alphabetized so that your readers can find that source quickly. But back to the, so I copied this. Now, the issue I want to point out here, and I don't want to belabor the point, but a lot of the citation generators need to be checked because they're not perfectly correct, and this citation is not absolutely correct. So use those generators that are available, but you will need to check them. I'm going to jump back to my PowerPoint now. Am I sharing my slides again here?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Great. Thanks. Oops, and let me go back to here. So, so you'll want to check those. So here's what I copied just now from what I got just now from that Google Scholar citation generator. And there are a few things about it that are not correct, and you don't need to know this as you look up more sources and become a little more familiar with APA. You'll start to realize that you'll start to just notice these things. But the title is in sentence case, which means sentence case means it's the capitalization follows the formatting that a usual sentence would follow, and that means that the start of the sentence is capitalized, and the rest is in lowercase unless they are proper names, right? After the colon, the first word is capitalized, so that was a little error there. And when you have a journal, when the journal is identified, it's in italics, but that should be capitalized. So that was not correct in that listing. So you would need to go back and fix that. Additionally, the full pages should be provided. So this was not just the first page, but 539 to 579. So I just want to point out that you'll want to check if you use this. Additionally, when you obtain a source online, you should provide the URL or this thing, it's called the DOI, or the Digital Object Identifier, which is basically the URL or the link that you use to find that. So we're gonna do a little exercise. Again, I would like you to navigate to the New York Times homepage, and we're going to, so there's a different way to cite different kinds of sources, right? So books, journal articles, a chapter in a book, a newspaper article, a tweet, a Facebook post. There's different formats for citing all of these things. And I'm going to show you some great, just one-stop shop places you can go to figure out how to cite those correctly. But first, we're gonna try again to cite this source and newspaper article, and we're gonna use, I'd like you to try to use a citation generator for this. So let's, for this, use, actually first, let me put the link for the New York Times homepage in the chat in case you don't have it. Okay, so it's just newyorktimes.com, so it's really easy. And I'm going to jump out of my PowerPoint again so that you can follow along with me. Just a moment. All right, did everyone go to the New York Times homepage there? And by the way, you all have a subscription to the New York Times, also Wall Street Journal, through your Lehman library, through your Lehman or your CUNY IDs. So And there's a place, I believe, on the library homepage where you can create that account. So, oh, well, here's the lead article on the New York Times homepage actually changed in just the past few hours. So I'm going to, so I was going to take the article on the upper left because that's usually the lead article. Instead, I'm going to try this article here, which is on the booster shots. So what if I wanted to cite this article? How would I do that? How could I figure out what's the proper citation format for this article? How do I add it to my, in APA format, to my bibliography at the end of my paper? So the first thing I could do is I could try to use one of the available citation generators. And let's, wait, I'm going to, oh, I'm not sharing my screen, I'm so sorry. So, am I sharing my screen now?
Yes.
Are you looking at my newspaper article?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I would, I could copy this link, and then I could insert it into a citation generator. And I'm kind of making a didactic point here, which is again that how frequently these citation generators aren't quite accurate. So if I go to, oops, let me just, my bib, which is one of the citation generators that's might come up. So this is mybib.com. We're going to take a quick look at the library site in just a moment because it lists numerous citation generators that are available to you that are all free. And I believe this is one of them. So let me put this in the chat. Okay, so if I put here the link to the news article into the citation generator, oops. Can everyone see that I just pasted it in there? And then I click on journal news article, and I click on search. It spits out for me my news article in APA. I picked APA 7 style. So right here to make sure it's in APA 7 style. So this is a quick and handy way to obtain the citation, which I can add to my Word document. I can even save it to a project. I can create a new project here, give it a name, and then add the citation to the project. Let's do a news article. Oops, and there it is. Okay, so now I see that is listed here. So do you all see that this is providing the bibliographic reference here, the full bibliographic reference, and then underneath it says in-text citation. Mandavili and Mueller, 2021. Those are the authors and the date of publication. So every citation format makes this distinction between the full citation, which appears at the end of the paper. I think I said this before, but I'm going to repeat it. And the in-text citation, which is this very streamlined way of referring to your source in the body of your paper. And in APA, this very streamlined way of referring to your source in the body of your paper involves providing just the author, last names, and the date of publication. In addition, if we provide an actual quotation, in other words, text taken directly from the article, which we have to put in quotation marks, we, if it's a book or a journal article, we need to provide that page number as well. So the thing I want to point out here is that this, and here I'm going to jump back to my PowerPoint. This citation is not in absolutely correct format. So it's something that we need to check. And that's because journal articles, as well as newspaper articles, the titles of them should be in sentence case. So the proper words, proper names, the first word in the title is capitalized, but the rest is in lowercase. It's not capitalized. So just use these tools that are available to you, but with take some precautions. So I'm going to stop this share, jump back to my PowerPoint. Is everyone still with me so far?
Yep.
Okay, great. So back to my PowerPoint here, and I am not sharing it, right? All right, so back to here. All right, so go to presentation view. Oops. Sorry. All right, so I'm just highlighting there that citation was not quite correct. So I would need to correct it. Notice that the title is actually in lowercase. And some of the citation generators are a little better than others. There's one called zbib.com or Zotero, and I think that one is pretty good. We can test it in, actually, I'm not sure we have time, so I'm not going to test that. I don't think I can test that with you right now. I want it, so this is a page that you should bookmark. It's the Lehman College Library Citation Guide. And the librarians do just a wonderful job of providing research guides, citation style guides, and updating them on a regular basis. As those of you who have been writing papers in APA format for a while know, the APA citation format has recently changed from the 6th edition to the 7th edition, some little changes there. And this is now updated to reflect that. So let me put this link into the chat here so that, oops, oh, I have to, I'm sorry, I have not I'm jumping back and forth between the internet, wanting to show you the internet and then showing you these links. So here's that link for the Looming Library Citation Guide, and I recommend that you bookmark this since it's really useful. And while I'm at it, let me just go there right now so that we're all literally on the same page. Okay. And I'm going to show you those citation generators. So do you see here where it says citation? I am sharing my page now, right? We're all on the Lehman Library homepage, citation style guide. If I click on citation generators, it lists a number of these. I'm going to go to Zotero Bib. I am going to show you this one. And I'm going to put in that newspaper article that we were just looking at, the title. I put this in and I click on Cite. So notice that I've clicked on American Psychological Association 7th edition. And there it is here. It's giving me so this is the way it will look in the body of my paper if I cite. And you've already started reading. You probably have, we're a few weeks into the semester, you've read quite a few journal articles at this point, and you've probably been noticing this citation format where you have the in-text citation that in this parenthetical format. So I can copy the citation like this and plop it into my paper. I can also copy the this this listing here, which is actually correct. So Zebed got it right. And so it worked better than the other citation generator that I was looking at. Okay. So I'm going to jump back to my PowerPoint. I hope I'm not making anyone giddy or nauseous with all the hopping back and forth. I know that the previous presenters referred to going beyond these citation generators, the reference managers, which are more elaborate. And I'm not going to do more than just refer to them right now, but you can download any one of these. And I think RefWorks, you have free access to that. And through the Lehman Library homepage, you can, I think you can download it from there. Am I right, librarians here? RefWorks should be accessible to you from the Lehman Library homepage. And Microsoft Word integrates with these reference managers once you download them. So you can go back to slideshow mode. So once you download these reference managers, you can integrate it with MS Word. And I'm not going to talk about this right now, but there's a references tab in Microsoft Word, and then you can select your style, and that's a way you can manage your references. So again, using the library resources to locate sources, then you can import them into your bibliographic manager. And then if it's integrated with MS Word, you can very easily generate that references list at the end of your paper for APA, and also the in-text references are pretty easy to use. So I'm going to now, so that's sort of a very quick overview of these electronic tools that are available to you that can make your life a bit easier. I'm going to jump now into actually just an overview, a very, very basic overview of APA format, because it's good to just have this basic knowledge apart from the electronic tools, so that, and again, it will become more second nature the more that you use it. So do not feel daunted if right now it just feels like just so many details that you have to remember. You do not need to memorize anything. You just want to be able to look things up. So I believe I already shared this apastyle.org website in the chat. This might seem a little fuddy-duddy, but there was a book, publication manual of the American Psychological Association. So if you are going to be writing a lot of research papers, you might consider actually investing in the book. Personally, I like paper books, and it's not just, I think it's not just like a generational thing. It's more that I start to go blind after staring into the screen too much. And it's just nice and a huge relief to look at paper. And then there's much more to be said on this topic, including reading strategies. When we have so much we have to read and it's online, what kinds of reading strategies can we use to make that easier? I want to point you to our reading workshops that are offered through our office in that bulletin that I shared earlier, if you want to learn a little more about that. So, okay, let's see here. All right, I'm gonna move pretty quickly because I know that I need to wrap soon. But I mentioned that bias-free language is an important aspect of APA style. I indicated that the pronoun usage has undergone a shift, so that the language itself is more. This is not just APA, but language is the sea of words that we swim in. Fortunately, it changes over time, and we're living in a moment where we can, where I think there have been some very salutary changes, such as pronouns to acknowledge the diversity of gender identity, but also just in terms of usage. For example, I'm going to give two examples very quickly, two sort of guidelines for bias-free language, and you can read more about it by going to this link at the APA, on the APA website. First of all, if you're going to refer to a group of people, being specific is better than being super general, because that is recognizes the actually existing diversity to a greater degree. So for example, instead of saying Native American, it is usually better if, you know, and if it's appropriate for your research, to refer to those groups by their actual names. So Lakota or Abenaki or Cherokee, you know, whatever is a more focused a way of referring to that group of people. Or for example, if you're referring to a person who has a particular feature that you want to describe, it's better not to describe or identify the person. Again, this is part of the APA style guidelines about bias-free language, not to say an epileptic, for example, but instead to say a person with epilepsy. So the person is not entirely identified by that trait. So you can read more about that there. It's actually pretty interesting and worth looking at. So I'm going to skip through a few slides, but you can see the full presentation. The slides will be shared with you later. Again, I mentioned that these guidelines are useful. I'm not going to bother to put them in the chat. So again, this Lehman Library Citation Guide is your one-stop shopping for citation. It's very useful. I want to point you to some additional sources. I didn't see, this was on the Lehman Library Citation site recently, and then I didn't see it there right now, or maybe I'm looking in the wrong place, but the Excelsior College Online Writing Lab, OWL stands for Online Writing Lab, has a very useful series of pages on APA and citation more generally. So that's a great source. Again, so I'm going to give a super brief overview of some features of APA, which I've talked about already, namely in-text citations, the reference page, and signal phrases. And we're not going to have time to do any actual practice. So if I have 5 more minutes, Princess or Jonathan, I'm going to do a quick overview here.
No worries, Lisa, please.
Okay, great. And we'll also take I'm going to refer you to some useful information, including a sample paper. All right, so I've said it twice before, but now I'm going to go into it a little more elaborately. There are 2 main components to any citation format: the in-text citations in the body of your paper, and then the references list. And there's a relation between the 2 of them. The in-text citations are very, very streamlined. In APA, as we'll see in just a moment, they consist of the last name of the author, and then that allows the date, and then we have the references page, which is more elaborate. So, and again, this should be consistent, uniform, systematic in how we refer to sources. So the basic format involves, and I hope this looks a little familiar. I'm sure it does, because you've been reading journal articles, you've been seeing these parenthetical references, right? So typically at the end of a sentence, where we're providing an idea or information that came from a particular source, we need to acknowledge that source. So in parentheses at the end of the sentence, we have the last name of the author followed by the date of publication, or the date in which that source appeared. When we are actually quoting, we would include the page number, and there is a little P, and then a little period after it to show us an abbreviation, followed by the number itself. And for those of you who are familiar with MLA format, it's similar, but it's different, because with MLA format, we do not include the date, and we also don't include that little P before the page number. If there's 2 authors, we refer to both of them with an ampersand. That's that symbol for and. joining their two names in those parentheses.
How can you be?
And then sometimes there's some challenges, such as there's no author, or there's no publication date, or there are no page numbers. And so if there's no author, we provide the title. The title is what we provide instead of the author. And then when we have our alphabetized list of references at the end of the document, everything is alphabetized. And so this piece called Fielding Challenges would be listed under F. If there's no date, we have N.D. And I'm still not 100% versed in the 7th edition of APA, but I'm pretty sure we still use that in 7th edition. Is that right? If the librarians are still there, you may know better than me. But again, that's something I would look up, and we're going to I'm going to share some sources where we can look that up. But yeah, I think that's still the same. If there's no date, we just say N.D to show that there is no date provided. All right, so the other component of APA is the references list. So again, this is a separate page at the end of your document. And the best way to see this is to look at an actual sample of an APA document. So we're going to do that in just a moment. And as I mentioned, the in-text citations, the references list are related. Streamlined version of the citation in the body of your paper, and then anyone can then look it up in your references list. You do want to check your paper when you're done and make sure that you don't have any, that any in-text citation you provide is listed in your final bibliographic references at the end. And you don't want to include any bibliographic reference to which you do not have an in-text citation. So that's an extra check that you would want to do. Okay, so I'm going to, I have not been watching the chat. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Rebecca, for putting those sources in. All right, so I'm going to just jump quickly. I'm going to stop my screen share, and I'm going to just go quickly to a sample paper that I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to put the link for that in the chat. So let me just, so this is from the Purdue Online Writing Lab website. And let me just find that here. Okay. So so you can all click on this and actually download it to your, so let's look at this together for just a moment. So this is the, a sample APA paper, and I'm going to share my screen. So once you click on that, and you get, you might have to hunt around. It's there's a way that you can download that sample paper. So the Purdue Owl, again, Owl stands for Online Writing Lab, is a great place to look things up if you have any questions about how to cite a particular source. So again, this is a very basic workshop, and I'm not going to go into all the details about formatting. The APA style, the APA.org site is very helpful, very clear about how to format your paper in terms of, there's a running head on the top. There's the title on the first page and the basic information. But what we just want to look at right now, and you wouldn't, this is more for a published paper, so you wouldn't have an abstract for most papers that you're simply turning into a class during the semester, in just about in most cases. So can everybody see my sample paper here?
Yes.
First, okay, great. So, again, notice that you do have a running head in APA format, pagination, and there is a method of, you have the title at the top of the page as well as on your title page, and no header at the start, but let's see if this paper has headings. Yes, it does. So there is a method of providing headings in APA, first level headings, second level headings, third level headings. so that it's just consistent. So first level headings are bolded and centered. I believe second level headings are left justified, bolded, and third level headings are left justified. Maybe some of this, I'm not sure if some of this terminology is entirely familiar to you, but when we say justified, center justified, left justified, we mean just how does it appear on the page? Is in the middle, center justified, or left justified over on the left? Third level heading is over on the left and it's italicized. And the reason we need to know this is just when we produce a more elaborate paper that has headings, we're following this uniform format, and it just makes things easier for any readers to just instantly get how important that heading is and where it is in terms of your system. Okay, so I'm not going to go into that sort of a nuance of APA. I want to jump to the references list here, which appears always at the end. Notice that it's there's a center justified heading, references. It's bolded at the top of the page, and then we have all our sources listed in alphabetical format. I think I have just like 5 more minutes, so so again, you have the links and you can look this up on your own, and I think 5 minutes will work perfectly. So one thing we can tell from this references list is the type of source it is, and we get better at this the more we do use APA. Probably the most common source that you'll use is a journal article that you download from the internet. And for example, the first source is just such a source. So you can see here that the journal title is again in sentence case. Does everyone see that? So it's not everything is capitalized. It's something that seems very not intuitive, that since most of us have learned that when we have a title, we capitalize the important words, but instead just the beginning and any proper names should be capitalized, and also the first word after the colon. As you will soon become very familiar with, if you're not already, a typical title in the land of academia has a colon in it, so it has like a first like a little catchy phrase or something that catches the reader's attention, and then it has the subject matter provided on the right side of the colon, but we want to capitalize after the colon. The journal title is in title case, meaning typical title case where we capitalize the important words. And then we have the volume and number, page numbers, and then the digital object identifier, which is this link, which or URL, which takes us directly to the article. So when we download information from the internet, we obtain a journal article online from a database, we should provide that digital object identifier, which is there, and I don't have time to show you, but when you obtain an article, and maybe this the librarian showed this already in their presentation, the DOI is there on that when you obtain it from the database. And the librarians are available, as you know, 24/7 via chat. So if you have any questions about that, they can assist with that. So just the main idea I want to convey right now, which is that there's a relationship between any source in the references page and the source in the body of the article, except it's provided in a much more streamlined way. So let's find this text in the body of our article. Let's see if it'll let me do that. Oops, the screen is freezing. So I'm going to look for embody. And here we go. So here's that source provided. So one thing I just want to point out is that the you provide in the in-text citation, which again is the streamlined way of referring to your source, where you provide the author's last name or last names, followed by the year of publication. It comes after you provide the idea or whatever information, after you provide the paraphrase or reference to the source. So notice that it's not all the way at the end of the article, of the sentence, sorry, in this case. Can everyone see that? I don't know if this is kind of small on your screen. And there are a lot of nuances of APA, which I'm not going to be able to go into. One thing to point out, because I often see this little error in student papers, and so far as I'm concerned, any errors in APA are minor errors. They don't have to do with the substance of your writing. It's just sort of this extra step once you've gone through putting together a research paper where you want to make sure everything is uniform and correct, right, in your reference to the source. But one thing I often notice is that students sometimes include like the initials. First of all, you never see the first name of an author in APA format. You only see the initials of the author, and that's only in the references list at the end, right? So here we see their initials in this list here. We don't know the first name. Is it Ambadi Nina or is it Ambadi Nicholas? We don't know, and maybe that's a feature of APA's striving to be a bias-free citation format, because first name can tell us gender. And studies have shown that when people read articles written by women, sometimes they perceive it to be less credible. This is sad, but true in previous studies that have been done. So you never will see the first name of the author. So let's go back to that source. All right, and I know I'm just about out of time here. So again, in the body of the paper, you just have the last name. And something else to notice is that sometimes you'll want to refer to more than one source. So you summarize the source, or you summarize this idea, and then it's really two sources that corroborate or back up that idea. You found this idea in two of your sources, and that's good. It shows that you were thorough in your research. So you could refer to them both in the same parenthetical reference, separated by a semicolon. Does everybody see that? And now I'm just going to jump back to my PowerPoint, and we're going to wrap up. I think I have about 2 minutes left. So I want to talk now about signal phrases. So one thing I want to mention is that there is more than one way to refer to a source in your paper. There's the classic parenthetical reference, where you just state the idea, you paraphrase the idea, you put it into your words. Check out our paraphrasing and summarizing workshops, by the way, because that's sort of a little bit of an art, definitely an essential skill for academic writing. But you can refer, so I want to give you an example of a signal phrase. So notice that am I sharing? No, I'm not sharing. So now I should be sharing my, my slide. So notice that this is an alternative way to refer to a source, where we don't just provide a paraphrase of the idea followed by parentheses, last names of the Ambadi, 2007 or whatever. Here we overtly name the author or authors, and we just want to always make sure that we provide the date after those names. And again, it's always last names, not first names. And here, what's kind of cool about using signal phrases, that's what it's called when we refer directly to our source, is we get to pick a verb that sort of highlights what that source is saying or doing. And it's always good to pick your verbs with care. The verbs are like the muscles in writing, or sort of like the core muscles of a sentence, and you can't have a good sentence without careful choice of verbs, no matter what kind of writing you're doing. So pick your verb, so think about incorporating signal phrases into your writing. And I'm just going to give an example to show you why this can be important. So as I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons we cite is to mark the boundary between our own writing, our own ideas, and somebody else's ideas. Sometimes signal phrases help make that boundary much clearer. So let's look at an example of that. Oh, and I just want to point one thing out, which is that typically past tense past tense is or the present perfect, which is like so-and-so noted, or so-and-so has noted, or they have noted, is used when we, in APA format, which is different from MLA format, which is used in most English and languages papers, where we use sort of this present tense to refer to what a text is doing. Because in the world of the humanities, or writing about literature or poetry, we think of that text as sort of a living thing, and I guess that's why we refer to what a text is doing in the present. But in the world of APA, which is for the social sciences, behavioral sciences, we think of research as studies that were done in the past. So we use past tense. So again, this is just a very limited list of helpful verbs. Any good, I recommend that you look at those owls that I recommended, Purdue Owl or Excelsior Owl, or any good writing handbook for a list of helpful verbs that you can use to sort of mix it up a little and expand your repertoire, because you don't want to always use the same verb when you refer to a source, as so-and-so stated, claimed. If you just use the same verb, it gets a little boring, and you want to be more specific in referring to what a source does. So here's a signal phrase in action. I'm done in just 1 minute. So you can see that we're referring to the source, Linebarger et al. This is an excerpt from an article in education field, reported, or a study by Koskinen et al. And then every time we refer to that author, we always must include the date, the year. That's a distinguishing feature of APA, right? And it makes it different from MLA. Everyone sees that that's in the past tense. Et al. Et al stands for and the rest in Latin. So when we have 3 or more authors, we just use this handy et al. We don't have to write out the all their names here. And now we're just going to, so here's more examples of signal phrases. If you go, I don't have time to show you, but if you go to that apastyle.org site, they have a very nice page that sort of illustrates this difference between using a signal phrase to name your source and then just having the parenthetical reference at the end. So just keep in mind that you can mix it up. And then I want to just say, so again, there's signal phrases. So again, I hope everyone's clear about this difference between signal phrases and the parenthetical reference. There it is. So here we have signal phrase used in the first example and parenthetical reference at the end. Everybody see that? These are both perfectly fine. But if we look at this sample here, this is something that I've heard instructors sort of complain about a little bit, which is sometimes they get these papers where there's an entire paragraph, long paragraph, with all these sentences, and then the parenthetical reference doesn't appear until the very, very end. And then it's like unclear what part of that paragraph, which sentences came from the source and which was from your own, which are your own commentary. So again, you want, by using a signal phrase, we can make much clearer this distinction between our own ideas and that boundary between our own ideas and the source. And this includes a signal phrase and it makes it much clearer. Can everybody see that?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
All right, thanks. And I know we're out of time, so sorry that I ran a little bit over. I'm just going to make sure that I share this. This PowerPoint will be available to you. So there were some exercises that we just didn't have time to do. There are useful links. That's about it. Does anyone have, I don't know if we have any time for questions, but I'm available and I work at the Lehman Tutoring Center if anybody wants to contact me, and you'll have my email as well.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
My pleasure. Oh, and I wasn't checking the chat. Okay.
Yeah, it's the post-events questionnaire that was posted on there. So SJ is awesome enough to have a giveaway they're doing for everyone that participates. I think they have 15, if I'm correct, 15 swag bags that they're giving away, or 18, I'm sorry, to everyone that completes the post-survey or post-event questionnaire. So I just want to share something really quickly with everyone. And let's go ahead and share this because I want a couple of resources I want everyone to see. Do you guys see my screen? Yes, perfect.
Yes.
All right, so the first thing is I want to say thank you so much to everyone involved in this. Thank you to Ashmini, Dr. Gavez, Dr. Jimenez, Rebecca, Allison, Robin, Lisa, Gio, Princess, all the Student Government Association, the AMSOL program, the Tutoring Center, the Leonard Leaf Library, and the Office of Prestigious Awards. This is the second annual grad writing workshop. We did it last year, and Student Government loved it so much that they brought it back for the second year, and hopefully we'll do it again. We will be sharing all of these presentations and this information, the content that was shared today, most likely on Monday. We'll be putting it out in an email with links to the YouTube clips. This is everything we covered today. The Writing for Liberation was our first session. Then we did setting up your research paper, refining your arguments, and then citing APA. So a lot of great content. If you weren't here for any one part or any one session, we will make it available to you later this or next week, should I say. So before we continue, I know as Lehman students, I want to share some information with you guys as far as services available to you. So this week was our very first week where we started giving away fresh produce. So please keep in mind, if you're on Lehman campus, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 10 to 4, we're giving away fresh produce to students. So this week we have zucchini, squash, and peppers. Now the peppers are really, really spicy. I keep that in mind. One of our student workers bit into one thinking it was a little sweet, and boy, was she mistaken. So those are fresh produce we're giving away for free to all of our students. So please visit us for that service. We also have Hispanic Heritage Speaker Series. We had our first one this week, and we have 2 more coming up in the next few weeks. Very awesome speakers. So I point those out to you because I hope you are all able to participate. We also have Anthony Ray Hinton coming in. And if any of you are MSOL students, you have or you will read his book, The Sun Does Shine, that is on the curriculum to one of your classes. I read his book when I was doing my graduate degree. He's coming and speaking to the students. It's going to be really phenomenal. It's happening October 5th. So for this and all other events, you can RSVP at clubs.lehman.edu. So all you have to do is type in clubs.lehman.edu on the search bar, sign in with your Lehman 360 credentials. You'll then be able to register for the food bank, for leadership programs, or to any of our events from student government, from the clubs, or from ourselves. So that's it for me sharing. I want to say thank you all so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again at the 3rd annual writing conference.
Thank you so much, everyone. If you guys have questions for Lisa, please feel free to comment on this section or unmute yourselves.